It's not how much money you make that matters. It's what you do with the money you make. Now, don't get me wrong, having a bigger income can help you become faster sooner. But even if you make a big six-figure salary, if you don't know what to do with that money, it doesn't mean anything in terms of your wealth. A big salary might let you buy nicer things, a faster car, or a bigger home, and nicer vacations today, but that doesn't mean anything for your future wealth.
The moment you accept the paycheck, your brain goes dead. You just got paid. He says, as long as you're hungry, you'll think. And I was this little guy on the outside trying to figure out, what are those guys doing? How are it's almost like, what's the wizard doing? How is the wizard pulling these handles and all this? And we're all outside jumping around doing as they tell us. You should save money. Okay, I'll save money. You should buy stocks. Okay, I'll buy stocks. You should put some money in bonds. Okay, I'll buy. And I said, there's a wizard in there. I want to know who that wizard is. Because the school system will never teach you about money. The school system is designed to teach you to be an employee, which is important, or a doctor or a lawyer, a specialist, but never about money.
There's a difference between going out and becoming a high income earner, like a doctor, an accountant, an engineer, and becoming financially rich. They are two completely separate things, because you can earn a high income and still be broke. Your income doesn't guarantee any sort of financial wealth, period. And this is one of those things that when I learned this, I was so upset, because by this time I was halfway through my college career. I was studying to go and take the medical college admission test, the test that you take to get into medical school. And that was when I first started learning about money.
So I remember raising my hand when I was 9 years old, talking to my fourth grade teacher, and I said, when am I going to learn about money? And she was this woman who should have retired 50 years earlier. She was so sick and tired of kids by this time. She says, the love of money is the root of all evil. And I said, what am I, in Sunday school? And I was this punky little 9-year-old kid. And she says, we don't teach money at school. I said, why not? And she couldn't answer me. And she got very flustered. She said, sit down, take your seat. And then I got curious. I said, why don't we learn about money? She says, go ask your father. He's my boss. My father was the head of education. PhD, all that stuff. I go home and ask him, said, why don't we learn about money in school? And he looked at me and said, because the government doesn't let us teach that subject. The government tells us what we can teach and what we can't teach. And I thought that was strange. And I said, but aren't we going to school to learn about money? He says, no, your job is to get a job. I said, but you get a job to earn money. He goes, no, you're supposed to just get a job. I went, no. Isn't the purpose of a job to earn money? He goes, you're correct. I said, so why don't I just learn about money? I can skip the job part, And he got flustered and he said, look, and my father was, for Japanese, very tall, 6'4", and imposing man, good guy. But he says, if you want to learn about money, why don't you ask your best friend's father about money? And I said, why? That's Mike. So why ask him? He says, because Mike's father is an entrepreneur. And I said, what are you? He says, I'm an employee. I'm a government employee. And I went, oh, what's the difference? He says, the difference is an entrepreneur must know about money, or they're no longer entrepreneurs. And he says an employee doesn't have to know anything about money, because the government will take care of them, the company will take care of them. So I'm all confused. But I took my dad's advice and I trundled over to Mike's father's office and knocked on his door and I said, hey, I'm here, 9 years old. Teach me about money. He says, beat it, kid, But that's where the story of Rich Dad, Poor Dad started. And finally, through persistence, my rich dad started teaching me about money on one condition. And that condition was he would never pay me. He says, the moment I pay you, you think like an employee. He says, that's the trap. Entrepreneurs work for free. And now I'm 9 years old, my head's going cracking in half. He says, you never want a paycheck. Understand that, kid? I said, okay, I got it. And he says, well, how do I make money? He says, that's what entrepreneurs figure out. It's like, it's the cat, which comes first, the cat or the cat chasing its tail. And I said, so how do I learn about money? So he would just break out a Monopoly game board. So I would work for free. I'd pick up cigarette butts, and he had hotels and restaurants, and I would clean and do menial tasks. And as I got older, I started getting into office work and marketing and accounting, and I was an apprentice basically, but I always worked for free. And he would teach me about money, but the way he taught me about money was playing Monopoly. And finally one day I got upset. I said, well, when are you going to teach me about money? He says, what do you think we're doing? We're playing Monopoly. He goes, no. What do you think we're doing? We're playing Monopoly. He says, what do you think we're doing? I said, I don't know. I'm teaching you about money.
Most of us never learn a thing about money when we're in school. I can tell you from experience. I went through high school, I went through college, I went through a year of grad school, and then I went through law school, and never once did I learn a thing about investing, building wealth, cash flow. I had to learn these things on my own. And so we learn how to earn from our labor. But in a capitalist system, the people who are the wealthiest, think of anybody. Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, it doesn't matter who you think of, and I'm not saying this from a political perspective. Think of anybody who has money, Warren Buffett. What do? They own assets. If you want to win in this economic system, in this capitalist system, the way you win is by owning assets. Now, how can you own these assets? This is what the capitalist system is. You have to use your capital to own assets. You can use your labor, your job to make money, use a piece of this money to go out and buy assets, stocks, real estate, businesses, whatever it might be. Or you can create that asset. That's being an entrepreneur. You can go out and build an asset. You can go out and create something that does not exist right now. And this is where the real wealth is built. If you really want to make money, that is what you have to put your focus on. If you are not an entrepreneur, that means you got to take your focus right now on not spending all your money, working to earn more money, and taking the difference between what you earn and what you spend and putting this money to work. Putting this money to work in the stock market, putting this money to work in rental properties, putting this money to work to buy businesses, putting this money to work by investing in startups, by investing in other businesses. That way now you have equity in these assets. That way now your money is working to earn you more money. Because when you go to work, you are working to earn money. But there's a limit to how much you can work. There's a limit to how much you can get paid. There's a limit to how many hours a day you can work. But there's no limit to how much your money can work. If your professor knew this, many of them would not be teaching anymore. And again, there are some great teachers. There are some great professors. And many of them are very good at what they do. But most of them are not rich. And this is where now you have to go out of your way to learn about money. Our education system teaches people to be employees, period. Again, not a bad thing. Not everybody is going to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody should be an entrepreneur. If you want to become wealthy, you have to reshift and reframe your mind and stop following what everybody else does. Because if you keep doing and following that conventional wisdom of trying to become successful, you're going to end up like everybody else. And guess what? The majority of people in America are broke. That is the way that our system works. Now, this is where you have to, if you want to become successful, be willing to think a little bit different and then do something a little bit different. Our economic system is designed to do one thing. It's designed to build an education system that produces employees. Now, why is this so important? Because we live in what's called a capitalist system. And in a capitalist system, there are two ways you can make money. You can make money from your labor, and you can make money from your capital. And guess what? In a capitalist system, which one is going to make you more wealth? Is it from your labor? Is it from your capital? It says it in its name, your capital. But what's interesting is our entire education system is designed to teach you how to make money from your labor. So we are taught to make money from our labor, right? You go to school, and if you do good in school, you're going to be able to go to a good college. If you go to a good college, the whole thinking is you're going to be able to get a good job. If you get a good job, you're going to make a big salary, which means you're making money from your labor. And this is why I keep saying it's not just how much money you make that matters, it's what you do with the money you make. You can make money from your labor, but the question is, what do you do with this money from your labor? All success starts with your mindset. And if you're not willing to do something different, you're never going to achieve anything different. And the reality is, the reason why the majority of people are broke is because we followed the system where you work to make an income. And maybe if you do it the right way, you're going to work to get a big income. You go out and you get a high-paying job. Now again, there's nothing wrong with being a doctor. There's nothing wrong with being an attorney. Nothing wrong with being an accountant. Nothing wrong with being an engineer. We need these professions. In fact, we need good people in these professions. We need more good people in these professions. But what we need less of is people going out to become a doctor just because you get a big salary because you want to get rich. And this is where, if people understood money, well, now doctors could be a lot more financially free, because now when you make a big salary, you know what to do with the salary. That way you can actually be wealthy. You know how you can use a tax system to your advantage as a doctor, because now what every doctor will tell you is when you start making that $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year, the government's going to take a big chunk of that. They might be taking half of that money. So yeah, you work to earn $500,000, but $200,000 is going straight to the IRS. That's a lot of money going in taxes. And then you got to figure out, how do you live the doctor lifestyle while also putting money away to build wealth? And when you talk about putting money away to build wealth, where does the money go? And this is where now you have to understand the difference between just working to earn a salary and working to build your wealth.
I was taught by a rich man. And so the people right now who are sitting at home, who are struggling financially or worried about money or unhappy, they may be making a lot of money, but unhappy with what they're doing, it was probably taught to you. You know, your super ego was taught, get a job, work hard, or you'll never be rich, or the rich are evil, or whatever. If you're poor, you'll always be poor.
That's really hard for people to understand.
Yeah, the money will disappear that fast. Just like most pro athletes, they make millions of dollars, and but 65% are bankrupt 5 years later. It's because they come from poor families. Now you tell them that, they get very angry at you. Not, it's the rich fault. You guys ripped me off, and government ripped me off. But unfortunately, what Mr. Lipton was saying, it's passed down genetically. That's the frightening thing. So what Mr. Lipton was saying, what Trump and I are saying, what Jim Rickards and Nomi Prinz we're saying, we got to change what we teach our kids.
Right. Try to change that soul, that DNA, and introduce a real different mindset.
Yeah. Well, if they've got to teach them, as Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. Yeah, but you got to have the basic knowledge of taxes, debt, financial statements, and all that. If you don't want to learn it, I can't help you. So my poor dad never wanted to learn what my rich dad was teaching me. So what I say to young people is, you find your game. So my game financially is business, number one. Second is real estate. And that's why I pay no taxes. That's why Trump pays no taxes. Legally, it is a combination of business and real estate that gives us an unfair advantage over employees.
Understanding the system. Our system is designed to benefit people who understand the capitalist system. That means our system, whether it's the tax code, how much money you earn, how much assets you earn, how much freedom you have, our system is designed to benefit people who understand the capitalist system. Our system is designed to benefit people who understand how to invest and how to build businesses, period. And this is where that financial education becomes so crucial. So crucial. So crucial. I don't think I can say this enough. Your financial education is so crucial to ever building any sort of wealth, because I get into huge debates over this with a lot of people, even in my YouTube comment section. If you want to pull people out of poverty, the best way to do that, and it's not just poverty, if you want to pull people out of any place to the other, it always starts with education. Because you can give a lot of money to people, but if you don't know what to do with that money, in 6 months or in 6 years, the vast majority of people are going to end up right back where they were before. It's the same reason why statistically, the majority of lottery winners will end up broke or bankrupt within 5 years of them winning the lottery. Why? Because if you don't know what to do with the money, if you don't know what to do with this thing, the resources, you're going to end up back where you were before. That's why it has to be a lifestyle change. If you want to become wealthy, it is a lifestyle change where you have to now understand what does it take to actually get there. And that starts with the education. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people that need resources, that you need access to some tools. I was reading Trevor Noah's book recently, Born a Crime. Man, great book. Absolutely great book. I've been finding some really good books recently, but this book was so inspiring and so educational in so many different ways. I highly recommend this book. And one of the things that he talks about is that saying, teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. And one of the things that he says is, yes, that's true. But one of the things that you're missing is you got to have a fishing rod to be able to fish and feed yourself for a lifetime. And this is where, we need the education. If you want to be able to give somebody the tools to go out and become successful, the first thing you need is the financial education. Then you got to get access to the tools. But the problem is most people don't even know what tools they need because they never have that basic level of financial education. Now again, this goes back to why I'm so happy that we have platforms like YouTube out there, because the barrier to get this financial education is so low now. Most people have access to a computer or a phone or Wi-Fi. Most people have access to podcasts and YouTube because it's free. You can go out and start learning. So now when we talk about how do I increase my income, how do I make more money, start watching YouTube videos. Learn how to make more money. Learn about different business ideas. Learn about different ways that you can get a career change. Learn about ways that you can get a different certificate. Learn about ways that you can do something to earn more money. And then as you earn more money, this is where it's what do you do with this money? But in order to break that system, it's not going out and finding the next get-rich-quick system. It's not by hating people who have money. It's by now learning. First, you learn, how did the people who have money get it? What are the different ways that I can earn money? And you try things. And most of the things you try are probably not going to work. And it's almost like this game of pinball, where you're going to try one thing, shoot over here, realize this doesn't work, shoot over here, realize this doesn't work, it goes over here, realize this might not work, go over here. Now you start learning things and you start applying it here, and you say, oh, let me try this and then that. It takes that trial and error. And now this is a whole different skill now of how do you build a business, how do you pivot, how do you find the right investments, how do you grow, but you cannot run before you crawl. You got to just get started. And it starts with that financial education. It starts with you learning what is money, how does money work, how does our economic system work, how can I attract money, how can I use my money better, how do I save my money, how do I invest my money, what are investments, what are different ways that I can earn my money, what are taxes, how do taxes work. And unfortunately, it's really unfortunate that all of these topics are now becoming more and more politicized, and this is going to continue to stay that way. But your goal is not to get very angry and emotional and political about money, but rather just understand money is green. That's it. And you want to go out and get your fair share of the money. Everybody is working to get a paycheck so they can drive a bigger and fancier car. But if you really want to have the bigger and fancier car without having to worry about the price, you got to create your own income. And if you don't want to go out and create your own business, that means you got to go out and invest in other investments, other assets that will pay you, that way now your assets can pay for your car.